Before I upload my art to the Gaphy server, I want to make sure that it does not contain any partially transparent pixels. To ensure proper printing of my art, Gaphy has developed a Photoshop action that will make these transparent pixels opaque. My art for this tutorial contains two distinct parts, a large Gaphy logo and a rather small telephone number with a design feature that has fairly thin lines. Zooming in on the telephone number and design feature, I can easily see that there are a lot of transparent pixels that make up the numbers, letters, and design feature, and there's even some around the border of the Gaphy logo. Because my design does have these thin lines, I will run the anti-alias add pixel action. To run the action, I need to click on Window and make sure that Actions is selected. On my right-hand toolbar, I'll see the Gaphy client actions. I'll click on number 5, remove anti-alias, add pixels, and select the layer I want to run the action on. At this point, I'll click the play button and let the action run. When the process is complete, the logo appears unchanged and the telephone number and design elements remain intact, albeit a little thicker since the opaque pixels have taken the place of transparent pixels. Removing the anti-alias does result in jagged looking edges on the artwork, but when printed on a garment, these edges will appear smooth. Just as a quick example, let's say I had decided to run the action remove anti-alias, remove pixel on the original artwork. What would have happened? So basically I'll click on the original artwork, click on the action, click play, and fairly quickly you can see that the phone number and the design element have been severely distorted because the transparent pixels that were once there to form the shapes have been removed. Given a little trial and error with your own artwork, you'll soon begin to understand which action to run in any given circumstance. I knew this one had thin elements, so in order to get printable art, I needed to run the add pixel remove anti-alias. My design for this part of the tutorial is going to be the same Great Apparel For You logo, except this time I'm trying to give it a worn-in or vintage or distressed look. If I zoom in on these distressed points, you're going to quickly see that there's a lot of transparent pixels. It's something that we can't have when we're using the DTG process, so we need to have a way to get rid of those. What I need to do is go to Window and make sure that Actions is selected. It already is. I'll then go to my Gaphy Client Actions folder and click on number 6, Remove Anti-Alias, Remove Pixels. I'll make sure the layer is selected and it's visible, and then I will click on the play button and let the action run its course. When it's complete, it's really quick to see that all of the transparent pixels that were once there are now removed, and these spaces are just void of any pixels. The edges are a little jagged as well, I notice, but that's nothing to worry about because during the DTG process, those will become smooth. I chose to run that action instead of number 5, add pixels, because if I were to do that, I'll show you what would happen. I'm going to click play and just let it run. It might take a few seconds. So when the process is complete, instead of removing the pixels, I see that it added pixels to those distressed areas. And basically the Great Apparel For You logo is now healed and doesn't have a distressed look. That's not always going to be the case, but when I'm going for a distressed look, I'm trying to remove pixels and not add them. It's going to be something that's going to take a little bit of time to learn and play around with to figure out which anti-alias option or action you should use for each design. But after a few attempts, you'll begin to understand when to use action number 5 and action number 6.